We talk about this term, the justice gap in our field, and a lot of times James clearly gets it, but a lot of times it's just kind of a vague term, and what does that mean? For us, one of the faces of that are survivors of domestic violence. So we run the only courthouse-based lawyer staff safe haven for victims of domestic violence in the state. It's in Fulton County, and one of the single biggest predictors of whether someone breaks free from that cycle is whether the first time they go and take that step, which takes incredible bravery and strength, they get effective legal representation to get that protection. And part of the justice gap is that almost everyone who needs a lawyer for that can't afford it and often can't access those funds in that moment. So that's one of the things that we do, and unfortunately we see over 1,000 people every year just in Fulton County, and that's just the folks that had the strength to make that step. Also troubling is that children are part of that office, and we have to have a space for children in that space. It's great that we have it. It's troubling that it exists. Children can come and work on arts and crafts, or read, or be read to, or play with toys just feet away from where their mother is telling a story that you couldn't believe. And we try to distract them from that in this process of delivering their mom justice. This is all really heavy, so I did bring kind of one thing to share with you here, because one of those children, a girl under 10, used the arts and crafts time to make a little thank you for us that I often look at to remind us why we do this work. There's 150 of you, I'm told, so I did not bring handouts. But maybe you can see this thank you note. I'll read it. It says, once upon a time, there was a boss named Liz. She had good employees. Thank you. And then I know you're hearing this and saying, this sounds like an amazing organization. I wonder if I think I may know some of them. She drew pictures here, so you can look and see if anybody looks familiar to you. She did a really good job on Miss Lorena. But these are our staff, the lawyers, the social workers that help deliver that justice to her mom. And on a serious note, the good news is her mom got that effective legal representation. And the young illustrator here is no longer living in that type of household. So that is the face of the justice gap that TechBridge is helping us deliver. So you're asking, what does TechBridge have to do with all of that? About 2 years ago, we sat down, as James explained, and built a custom-made, Salesforce-based CRM system. 2 years ago, I didn't know what any of that meant, but thanks to TechBridge folks, I do now. And if you can imagine an organization that has thousands of clients, each one of them with sometimes multiple cases over their life, and a different bad guy for every one of those cases, if you will, and then all of our lawyers and their law firms and all of those people being donors and taking cases, we needed this kind of system. I will not tell any of you, it's too embarrassing, about how we did that before, but it involved 17 Excel spreadsheets. And so it revolutionized. It's not an overstatement to say it revolutionized the way we do our work, and it may not be as kind of naturally sexy or exciting a story as what our lawyers do, but the truth is it makes us be able to help so many more of those children. So when we go to a funder and they say, that's great, we want to help your children who are living in a mold-filled apartment and suffering from asthma and missing school, or we want to help more of your survivors of domestic violence, but our foundation right now is really focused on this zip code, or these zip codes and what we're doing, and we're really working on this population with this issue. What do you do about that? Well, I can answer that now in 2 to 3 minutes, or clicks maybe even, whereas before we met TechBridge, it was, if I could answer it at all, 2 to 3 days, and that's probably being really generous to our abilities. And that changes everything for our ability to get funding for these issues, or to deploy those kind of funds with the same sophistication that you all do, because we have limited funds. So where are we not reaching people? We can do that now with this system that we built.